Hello and welcome back, everyone, for Game 2, where FlyQuest and TSM search for their first wins of the split. A little weird to say coming off of those two teams, but it is happening for them. It is just one game. Selecting blue side, it is FlyQuest. As we get into the lineups, that means it is Flame burning things up in the top lane. Onda roaming around in the jungle. Keane in mid. WildTurtle holding down the bot lane with his support Stunt and Coach Rapid Star.
And challenging them on the red side today, it's going to be TSM. In the top lane, Hauntzer. In the jungle, MikeYeung. Looking for his first win with TSM still. In the mid lane, Bjergsen. Bot and support going to be Zven and Mithy with Coach Tahm.
Yep, and TSM come into today hoping to bounce back from a tough loss versus Team Liquid.
Yeah, they certainly do. I mean, TSM were completely dismantled. They were expected to be challenged by Liquid, and it would not have been a complete shock to see them lose, but the way in which they lost, what was really surprising to me. They were completely blown out, and you know, the sky is not falling yet. It's just one game for TSM. But if you lose to a team like FlyQuest, who is expected to be much lower on the table, then it's much more of a cause for concern.
There's that added pressure there for sure. We'll see if FlyQuest can pull off what Liquid did, despite taking a loss off of their own versus Echo Fox.
Yeah, exactly. And they had a rough day of it yesterday, too. Flame, who in my opinion is their best player, got counterpicked. They early picked the GP. He got absolutely slammed by Lucian top from Huni. And I think that, you know, Onda showed some strength in the early game, kind of protecting the GP. But if you can get Flame a more advantageous pick, if you can really protect him in the draft and get him an edge in pick ban, then Onda could get up there and perhaps swing that matchup, which could turn the game in their favor.
It's for sure. There's a mentality on Flame where that guy knows how to control a game when you give him that little bit. Give him the inch, he takes 10 miles. We'll see if he can do that on the top side. Get that horizon going. Phase 1 here for the bans. FlyQuest versus TSM as we are into the pick ban phase. Ornn and Malzahar off the ban list, or I should say on the ban list. And we're going to see what TSM has in store for FlyQuest. Who's done their homework and what's most important?
Yeah, I'm really interested to see what innovations we're going to see this season. Obviously, we have seen some kind of curveball picks so far, but not too many, and we've seen a little bit of Eve. Evolution Top was obviously a big surprise. I do think that there is a lot of room for innovation, not only when it is just early in the season, but also because it is best of ones, right? There's more potential to upset a team because if you get that one surprise win, the series is over. You do not get to play again. So I think that planning and preparation becomes extremely important in that system, and I want to see which teams are going to be those innovators to really come out on top.
And what teams have a best of one kryptonite? I wonder.
There you go.
Rise getting put on that ban list as they do not want to see that coming from Keane. Not a good global map movement from those party portals, as he does get Azir, however, still a champion high in his wheelhouse.
Yeah, I mean, Azir has definitely been very popular in this meta, and if the games are going to go long, if they're going to go slow, then great. Azir makes it like a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But you're blind picking Azir into Bjergsen, and there are certainly a lot of ways that this could be punished. I know Azir can certainly struggle in some of the long-range matchups. Things like Xerath and Vel'Koz can sometimes really punish this matchup. Also, Assassins. Some of those things can come out and really be dangerous because the early game is not very powerful in general for Azir, so it'll be interesting to see if Bjergsen just wants to farm this lane out and play it pretty passively, you know, counting on the fact that their team will play better later, or does he try to really go for a hard counterpick and smash this in lane?
Right now, they have the bot lane they don't have to pay too much attention to with a Kog'Maw and a Kench, so he may get a little bit more focus in mid lane from MikeYeung here, as we would expect. Keane picks up the Gnar for Flame on the top side, definitely something he can control and add power to the game with.
And we will not have parity in the first round of picks, so there will be kind of the separated bans in the second phase, because two solo laners and AD carry picked up for FlyQuest. We have the full bot lane picked. And
great call.
Yeah, there you go, the Xerath. I think this makes a lot of sense. This is something that I feel in solo queue is a counter to Azir in the lane. It's someone who can completely outrange Azir and really make you struggle to actually exploit that advantage, because if you're playing against a Rise or something like this, you can sometimes get the range advantage with your soldiers, but Xerath can just deny you from even approaching the wave at times, and can be such a rough match to play into, especially if TSM is willing to take an early powerful jungler, because then if you're getting poked down, you have to worry about getting dove.
And Keane, he says he feels comfortable on this, being pulled up from the academy team to play here. And he says, well, I'm still going to get kind of priority pick because I want to feel comfortable, even if they can blind pick against me. So we'll see if that works for FlyQuest starting off. Ban phase 2, Camille and Alistar knocked out there, so Stunt can't really get onto Zven in that bot lane.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense. The Alistar Kalista combo, we talked about it last game, very, very powerful. And also, you need to protect this low mobility mid laner. Yes, you have the Tahm Kench to kind of protect your Kog'Maw and your Xerath somewhat, but you cannot eat them both up and protect them. So you want to deny as much really intensive playmaking and engage as you can, because if these two can stay safe in the backline for TSM, fights will look great for them. And taking away the potential of a Shen support, an Alistar support, who can be thrown into that fight, who can get on top of the Kog'Maw and the Xerath, makes a lot of sense.
FlyQuest taking that time to say no Jace going over. Take away a bit more of that poke. Now they see Xerath as well.
And this is something that we had talked about. Hey, set up Flame for success. And in this game, they are doing more of that. They banned out 3 top laners from Hauntzer. They got, a relatively early pick here in the Gnar for their top laner in Flame. So Hauntzer now is going to have a disadvantageous 1v1 matchup. And talking about aggressive junglers, this is someone who really can pick on that mid lane with the Kha'Zix. If Xerath is able to knock that Azir low on HP, Kha'Zix is certainly someone who can come in and execute that kill.
This is everything about taking him down. You still have the Jarvan, you still have Sejuani, you still have a lot of tank you can put there, but they say we're going for kill pressure.
Another thing I really do like about the Kha'Zix pick is when you're looking at someone like a Gnar, you're thinking, okay, he's probably going to want to be in a side lane, he's probably going to want to split push. Well, Kha'Zix shuts down side lane pressure almost better than really any of the junglers in competitive play right now, because you have the Evolved R, you can stealth into a side lane. If you always have to be worrying, is this Kha'Zix there? Is he going to jump in on me and execute you?
Let's see. Anda says, let's go for the Zac.
Wow.
He'll be delivering some parties of people to hopefully a good situation. We've seen some bad plays and some good plays coming from those ults.
And you talk about a strong engage and 5v5 setup. The Zac jumping in with the Bastion from the Taric, landing a Dazzle into a Zac ultimate, the Taric ultimate coming down, followed by Azir, followed by Gnar. There's a lot of power in that teamfight wombo combo. So something that they're going to have to be very careful of. I would say in an extended team fight from TSM, they probably have the kind of better sustained DPS type fights. But the initial impact of the ultimates and the hard engage from FlyQuest will be very powerful. So they're going to have to be really, really wary of that.
Gonna be fun to watch the interaction of Anda kind of stretching out that slingshot as Bjergsen tries to stay on the back line to get arcane shots out. Be like, how far do you want him back? And I'm coming in. Gonna be very hard for him to find a good spot to stand in even.
Exactly. I mean, if Bjergsen can avoid that, well, then maybe they can't reach him at all. But if he cannot, you get pulled in as a Xerath, you are going to get popped extremely quickly. So positioning is of the utmost importance for TSM and their carries this game. And so much emphasis put on Flame in his 1v1 matchup. It's going to be Gnar versus Hauntzer's Cho'Gath. So he will have the edge in that 1v1, and we'll see how much can he get from that. Is it just a pressure advantage? Is it early turrets? Is it a massive CS advantage? Or can he even be getting those solo kills? And that's really, where they're trying to focus a lot of their game plan.
All right, coaches shake hands, leave the players with their own divide as they head back. Day 2, game 2 here, week 1. The 2018 season, TSM and FlyQuest both looking to put a win under their belt before they end the first week. And we'll see if they can do it right here as we get on to the Rift.
It's going to be a good one. Both these teams have drafted themselves some very strong win conditions. Pretty different types of team comps, but very excited to see how these guys can perform and really to track more of these young players. I think is so fun to see how MikeYeung is going to perform with TSM, and how guys like Stunt and Onda are going to be performing on this FlyQuest team, because I think there's so much variance that can happen with these players. If MikeYeung is playing at an all-star level, wow, how much better is he going to make that team? And if Stunt and Onda can really step up and back up these veteran solo laners, well, hey, that's a very powerful team too.
It's also easy to say, but
it is easy to say.
Will it happen? We get to find out as well. Teams being able to try so much more here in the franchising world.
Minion dematerializer for both of the mid laners here, so neither side really going to have that roaming advantage, neither going to have the pushing advantage simply because your opponent could kind of match that. The one time it really might come into play is if you base, thinking your cannon wave will actually delay the opponent's push, well, they can dematerialize that cannon. They're going to have a better back timing. They're going to have more of their own minions dying to your turret because it will push up faster. So that's something they're going to have to be kind of extra careful about when they base. And that's an interesting thing when you think about that in a Xerath lane. Because Xerath is someone who can already kind of force these disadvantageous backs. If you're getting poked out and you're like, okay, thankfully the cannon wave is here, I can back now, it's a good timing. Then he actually just instantly kills that. Can really throw you off and perhaps put you at a big disadvantage.
TSM once again focused on those refillables, resources, and stopwatches in the early part of the game. A lot of stopwatches. They definitely have a bit of a crazy engage if they want bot lane against no stopwatches. That's a stunt.
Big leash. That's a very big leash. That
feels good.
Yeah, feels really good. I mean, both teams actually giving pretty heavy leashes. I think this is very smart. I mean, if you're expecting your opponent's kind of hard leash for the Kha'Zix, you certainly need to give that same help to your Zac, because Zac cannot really match up well against the Kha'Zix in the early levels, so he needs to kind of clear out his buffs before the Kha'Zix can get there. And you can see Onda adapting his route, goes straight from red over to blue. He doesn't want the potential of meeting Kha'Zix at one of these buffs. He wants to clear them out before he can actually get there to try to avoid any early game conflict. You know, Onda is going to be really happy if there's nothing done by MikeYeung and nothing done by him in the early levels, and even using this kind of clever power clearing type technique, you can pull both those Tams to the edge of their leash and slap them together, hit them with your AoE W. Just going to speed up that clear time even more. So smart stuff, I think, from him already.
Nicely done. Wards mimicked, or I should say mirrored, by the mid laners there, so they have the timing and the vision together. As MikeYeung is on his red buff, and we'll see Hauntzer start to filter down back towards his Raptors for the time being. Flame trying to get a few auto attacks in here and there. Might see some pressure from MikeYeung after the little scuttle run.
Yeah, and at least getting that scuttle, not only is it the gold in the experience, but it's some more safety for your top side, especially if you want to spend more time, down around the bottom where he may have to try to protect his Kog'Maw.
Gnar nice enough to get the blast cone as well.
There you go. Looks like he's gonna get the trifecta, take out all the plants, get a lot of deep vision there. So really well done, honestly, by MikeYeung. Pretty intelligent pathing, and it's interesting to point out the differences in runes from last game. You know, we did see a Gnar, but Impact was actually playing Fleetfoot, and instead we are seeing an Airy now. So this is more about the pure damage, less about the sustain. Can be, in my opinion, kind of more focused on really laning it for mastery like this. And Hauntzer going to be going for grass, pretty standard stuff from him. But it can be difficult to actually get a lot of those grass procs off in a melee versus range matchup.
See the pings coming down of the possibility of where MikeYeung might currently be in his map.
You also see WildTurtle actually electing to go for lethal tempo, and it looks like a domination secondary as opposed to inspiration, which almost everyone else is doing. And when you compare that to what Doublelift did last game, he actually went press the attack, and I believe inspiration secondary instead of going this route. So this is a pretty interesting choice here. And lethal tempo can be extraordinarily strong, but the timing is what makes a lot of players kind of hesitant to take it sometimes. Is it gives you this big attack speed boost, which is super powerful, but it is delayed for about 1.5 seconds before it actually procs. You have to hit them, wait 1.5 seconds, then you get really strong. Right. So when you're in these kind of mid-game skirmishes and you're able to do that, to proc it and then really go off in a fight, hey, that's super strong. And when you think about how Turtle likes to play as a player, it kind of makes a lot of sense because he likes to really get in the mix of things.
Absolutely.
Likes to be that frontline Kalista, and this could bode well for that in the mid-game.
It's definitely when he puts himself under that pressure where he can shine. And I'd say more than not, there are the plays that you always remember when it goes wrong, but a lot of those,
a lot of good ones.
A lot of those memories that have a quadra-kill tagged onto the back end of it. Coming up on 4 minutes here, things are pretty quiet across the board as gold is pretty even throughout the lanes as well. Just a bit of a lead here from Keane onto Bjergsen in the mid lane, but that's being gobbled up by the top lane and a few other CS wins for FlyQuest.
And so far so good for Keane. Obviously, he's up a little bit of farm. It's a Summoner Spellbook on both sides, as well as the Sorcery secondary. Prioritizing things like Mana Flow Ban makes a lot of sense. So they are going to have stopwatch from their primary. That's pretty strong, and then you kind of still get the regen in that secondary tree. This is an interesting choice. So you see a lot of Xeraths going for things like the Comet, because your W can hit confirm that Comet with the slow, or even something like an Airy for more heavy poke. This is going to give him more safety, perhaps later on, and more utility to move around the map and swap out summoners and have the lower flash cooldown to avoid some of those engages. So he's kind of giving up a little bit of his laning power for perhaps a bit more safety later on.
Onda feels good. They just got a ping onto MikeYeung. Scryer's Bloom was used towards the bot side of the map, so they have an idea where he is. Have to watch over that MikeYeung doesn't come flying over the wall here and take something onto Keane. However, level 6, Emperor's Divide can make things pretty tricky for that gank.
Yeah, it definitely can. And likewise, I mean, if Keane is the one who wants to go aggressive, if you can Emperor's Divide the Xerath into a Zac initiation, that can be a very powerful combo, but Bjergsen will have his flash available. Could even look to TP back to lane if he feels that's necessary, but I think it makes a lot of sense to hold on to a defensive summoner for a while as that Xerath, just in case someone does show up to gank.
Trying to bait out Onda here. It looked like Bjergsen
might
might have wanted
for
to
this,
back, but yeah.
Yeah, Kha'Zix isn't there, so Onda's just going to go in.
They thought Onda left the jungle. There's the 1-2. Emperor's Divide back onto Bjergsen. Gets a flash towards the top side, away from the danger and towards his jungler as MikeYeung tries to activate on the counter gank. Nothing coming through for either team, but a flash from both mid laners.
Yeah, nice little thought there from Onda. He sees the Kha'Zix is a bit out of position, so they go for the initial jump, but because he couldn't hit the elastic slingshot, they don't have that full crowd control chain to force any more than just the flash, and MikeYeung coming in means the flash response has to come out for Keane, so it's really just a bit of pressure back and forth, pretty evenly played on either side.
The ring around the Rosie was pretty interesting as Onda kind of played that ward. They saw him and then bided his time until he knew MikeYeung couldn't see him again. Very nice little mind games from the young jungler, keeping himself active here in the early game to get a gank on Bjergsen. Stopwatch is still, and now available, I should say, for TSM to use if anything else gets crazy in this early laning phase.
Yeah, certainly so, and both of the bot lane on TSM have stopwatch, where neither of them do have it for FlyQuest, so certainly no difference of choice there. Another early tier on Taric here for Stunt. I do think it makes a lot of sense, and he's going for the biscuit delivery instead, so that is much more about the sustain, about hanging around in lane, be able to kind of withstand any sort of poke or anything along those lines. So definitely going to be hard to push them out of lane, but at the same time, I mean, Kalista is a lot about her early laning power. Yes, she is paired with the Taric, who's not that strong in the early game, but you've kind of ended up in a situation where Kog'Maw's essentially going to be able to farm uninterrupted, which, you know, TSM is going to feel pretty happy about.
Absolutely, especially after yesterday, Mithy expressing that he was not happy with his play. They obviously want to have a sound laning phase this time. Get his bot laner to a position where he can help to carry the game if Bjergsen and Hauntzer can. Yeah,
and Mithy has been such a good Tahm Kench player. You know, he's a very intelligent player, very good about his positioning in general, and so well known for being able to play this champion at a high level, keeping Zven safe, and allowing him to really excel.
A lot of wards down, showing protection 4 towards the bot side of the map here. Mithy getting a few of those out. Definitely could get a little pressure onto this Wind Drake, Cloud Drake if possible. Words. And it looks like they're just going to hang out and back for now, making sure that it's not Onda coming across the river.
Yeah, and now that they are level 6, with the Kalista, when they do hit level 6 with the Taric, if you could bring the Zac down, if you could pull off some sort of a lane gank, that is a very powerful combo that you can go, because you hit your Bastion onto the Zac, that links you up for the Dazzle stun, and
that feels good.
That initiation is very, very strong. And you can see MikeYeung here has evolved his R first. This is kind of what I was talking about, the fear that you always have as a split pusher against Kha'Zix, because even if it's warded out, Kha'Zix could just be coming invisibly through a brush and getting the jump on you before you're able to get away.
Quick dazzle onto Mithy. Looks like they'll lose a bit of pressure in the lane, but CS in their favor, and the lane is resetting. So it's just Stun and WildTurtle trying to flex a little bit here and get control.
I do think TSM has done a good job of kind of placing some deep vision in places where Zac would like to jump from. You see a ward in the Wraith Brush where Zac would like to jump from. There is a ward that Onda just cleared out that was, kind of over this river area around here that was a little bit below that, and in the side brush. So these are places where traditionally it would be very hard to actually get an idea where the Zac is coming from, but they've warded them out, and they're playing pretty intelligently around Bjergsen, trying to isolate him and keep him safe.
Point out nice forward wards as well from FlyQuest, keeping themselves on the board with what information is happening in terms of MikeYeung on the top side of the jungle. If he's not there, they can just assume he's in the fog of war on the bot side.
So, and you can see Frostgreen's claim completed for Bjergsen, so this is a pretty interesting build. It's very popular actually on a lot of champions right now, especially in solo queue, but also in competitive play. You can just get so much gold generation from the item. It's very efficient early on, and being able to complete that item so early in the game means that it's not even pushed back by your CS. When you have just the earlier pieces of that item, every time you CS, it actually delays the gold proc from coming up again. Once you have it fully completed, it's not interrupted whatsoever. So you're farming gold from the minions, you're farming gold from every time you hit the other champions.
Yeah.
And the Spooky Ghost can actually keep you relatively safe as far as checking if people are around in jungles, when you're looking for invades, when you're trying to approach an objective. It does give you a lot of help. And then it also slows them down to make it easier to hit your skill shots.
Build path as well feels really nice, like blasting one in there semi-early. Usually you're kind of putting together Kindle Gems or just Ruby Crystals in general to make a finalized item. But a little burst in power.
Yeah.
Haven't seen him use it yet though. 119 to 112. As things have been all quiet on the home front in just about every lane. It's like MikeYeung didn't get too much Kha'Zix aggression on him to start.
Definitely didn't, but I mean, he has great skilling in mid and top in, you know, the bot lane as well. So there's a lot going for them, and it's kind of, you know, the give and take right now that's happening in this game. There's some of the positions have more early power on one side, some of them have more early power on the other. You could say, hey, Kha'Zix should have the earlier advantage in the bot lane. MikeYeung should have the earlier advantage in the jungle. So it's kind of some give and take back and forth, but you know, overall, both teams looking pretty good. The gold is just about that even. Yes, Flame has a CS advantage on the top side, but Hauntzer has done a good job actually you know, protecting his turret and kind of minimizing that damage. And we'll see if once Flame is cashing out on this call, when he's getting an earlier Black Cleaver, if he can really start to and extend an edge there. Because if Onda can link up with someone and get a kill, now that he has a Rift Arrow, it's likely a kill plus the turret.
It is huge. Also impressive if TSM can figure out a way to just not allow FlyQuest to use that. Such a bad feeling when it happens. You're like, wait, I only have a quarter left, and we are not anywhere to use it. I feel like that won't happen at this caliber of play, but that's how big the stop is if TSM is able to do it.
But you do see from time to time, even in pro play, people having to drop very bad Rift Heralds, you know, in their jungle sometimes, in their base sometimes, and Onda trying to fight for this red buff. But this is MikeYeung kind of asserting some of that early game dominance. He knows he's stronger and loses the smite, unfortunately for him, even with the Kha'Zix advantage of the Q plus your smite for that execute. So nicely done by Onda to get there.
Little chest bump and he's back home. Up towards possibly Keane in the mid lane. I'm sure MikeYeung's not happy with that, but will probably want his ult before he goes in next. Blue for Bjergsen, and we'll see what happens.
One area you really got to point out TSM doing exceptionally well is vision. I mean, if you can just pan from bot to top, there's a massive line of wards across the entire map. Like, this is very, very impressive for them. All the way towards the bottom FlyQuest turret, all the way up towards their top red buff. They just have a massive amount of vision, very good spread. It's not just concentrated in one area. So they should have all the knowledge of what is going on. And this kind of speaks to the fact that they're trying to not get surprised. They're making sure that Onda can't find an approach path that they have not warded out or expected to.
Doing a great job of it. FlyQuest Ghosts making sure they get what they need. And like you said, Bjergsen's able to see what's going on. Even if vision they don't have theirs, Ghost tells them what's going on in the fog of war. Really great utility that TSM is bringing to the game only 14 minutes in with that vision in both ways. And
Zven and Mithy getting a 2v2 first tower is very, very good for them. Kog'Maw, you know, kind of gets forward to this very powerful item point, had the Rage Blade already, that gives them some confidence to kind of push forward and go for that, and actually went for some Swifty boots here, which can allow you to really chase people down, especially with the Fleet Footwork speed up. You have that in addition to the Swiftness boots, and you can really start to chase people down and turn these little trades into just a complete rundown where you can take someone out.
See what the positioning is. FlyQuest trying to get their vision back in. MikeYeung finds one. Nice dodge on the Dazzle. The flash happened with the slow still on Stunt, so he didn't gain as much ground as he wanted. Fate's call is in. Who are they saving? He says thanks to Turtle, but it looks like Stunt's gonna use Cosmic Radiance. He uses it out of range of Turtle. There was no chance to get it back on him, even with Bastion. A few final shots from the Arcane Barrage from Bjergsen. And he keeps himself in the fight, but does not kill on Stunt.
Yeah, Stunt just a little bit too far up there, and the vision line from TSM spots him. MikeYeung fully commits to it. They know that the turret is down, so there's nowhere to retreat really for FlyQuest, despite the fact they have the Fate's Call. Despite the fact they have the flashes, they still get taken down, but this does at least buy some time on the top side for Flame to get some turret damage down here, but TSM swapping their bot lane top, trying to put an end to any sort of fun that Flame's having up here.
I feel like if you watch last game, Flame will be our impact of last game. Very, very quietly on the top side, but doing oh so much for the team. and calling attention to TSM. MikeYeung grabs Dragon, and just as I say, didn't do too much in the early game. He starts pulling that trigger.
Yeah, he certainly does. Stunt getting caught out here. The team is not really in position. Bjergsen's already roaming down. They look at all these deep wards. Hauntzer has like 4 wards he can choose from to actually TP to. He chooses the best one. There's no way for Turtle to get out of this one, so Bjergsen picking up the first blood. It's just really nice preparation and nice play from TSM, and I think the most impressive part about this game so far, for me, has certainly been the vision control. They have just had wards everywhere, really limiting the options that FlyQuest and especially Onda has.
Rift Herald comes up pretty useful, which is good for FlyQuest after taking a hit there. TSM's going to feel very confident about where to move next. Like you said, especially with all of that vision, they don't really have a care in the world, and they'll take the fight as it comes. WildTurtle and Stunt push up, but not too much pressure for them. Or I should say, defense support, so they'll go ahead and back. The wards still are, it's like a light bright on the map for TSM right now. The security system of wards is ridiculous.
Got to give a little bit of credit to Keane, though, because this is a matchup that a lot of Azir players feel is extremely favored towards the Xerath, and this is something that I hear a lot of players talking about as that sort of a counter matchup, and Bjergsen did have counter pick, and yet Keane is still up in CS. He's still doing well. Yes, the kill went over to Bjergsen. He had a nice roam, but you know, he's certainly holding his own, and especially when you realize this is a sub for the team, he's playing admirably.
And then first pick coming in, that confidence was on his shoulders. He decided that would be okay coming into the matchup. Says blind pick Azir. Let's go, Bjergsen. Get whatever he wants. And like you said, doing well, feeling confident. Nasher's Tooth is finished as he cleans up this wave, but getting pushed in now, this could give Bjergsen a bit of time to get a roam on, get some long range play. Infernal Drake is next, so expect TSM to continue this vision on the bot side of the map.
Yeah, they're moving a lot of members bot side because Flame was behind Zven on this Kog'Maw. Wanted to try to catch him out. Doesn't look like they actually are fast enough to be able to get the players down there to do it, because although Flame was undetected, the rest of the members moving down were seen by the ward in the Raptor Pit, by the ward in the brush above red. So TSM vision certainly paying dividends again.
Trying to bait something out here. They know they feel much more powerful at this point in the game. One pick, one catch. Bjergsen, do you start this? Right now, it's just kind of going back and forth, making sure they know where all of Fly is, or FlyQuest, I should say. Hauntzer as well, pushing that top side to keep himself strong, and that turret down.
Yeah, I mean, Hauntzer up a tiny bit of farm right now, so Flame really has not been able to get any sort of advantages in the 1v1 just yet, despite the fact that they picked earlier for him. They banned a lot of Hauntzer's champions out. Hauntzer is going to be on this tank and find effectiveness in team fights. And it's going to be very hard, I feel like, from this point for Flame to really get any sort of advantages, because he didn't get enough ahead early, right? And when a Cho'Gath is already at this point, level 13, has some items, it's so hard to actually push him out of lane because of his passive. He's going to have access to the mini waves. He's going to have that sustain and
eat him.
Yeah, it's just really tough to actually knock him down.
Currently at 4 minions and 2 monsters eaten, so he has 6 stacks. Look to get another one off Flame there, but he quickly throws down the ultimate as he gnars out. Bjergsen will help to push up to make sure there's nobody else coming in for this counter attack. It looks like they'll be safe on the top side of the map. Really, we're still respecting what FlyQuest is kind of doing.
Yeah.
TSM did grab a bit for themselves there, but okay with saying, what do they do next? We feel like FlyQuest might push a little too hard.
And I think that the way that TSM is playing really speaks to the fact that they don't want to take any risks.
Right.
I think they know that they have some very good carries, both as far as the champions and as far as the confidence they have in these players, right?
Got a good point.
You have Kog'Maw, you have Xerath, and you have Bjergsen and Zven. And these are some of the best players around at these positions, and these are some of the best late game champions as far as scaling. So certainly a lot of confidence that they'll be able to perform in the later stages, when you also have Tahm Kench to protect them, when you also have the big front line here from Hauntzer, you have MikeYeung to kind of shut down split push pressure from Flame. So they have a lot going for them, and as long as they're not surprised by the engage, you know, I talked a lot about the power of the initial kind of combos that could come out with the Zakald and the Azir shuffle and, you know, all of these sort of things. But if you always spot what your opponents are doing, it's very hard for FlyQuest to ever really be able to pull that off. So TSM is playing patiently, they're focusing on vision, and they're saying that if we can see what you're doing, we're going to win the fights.
It becomes that TSM team where you get to a 30, 35-minute, 40-minute mark, you don't even want to fight them because you know they'll be able to just kind of outfight you. And it's something TSM maybe barring one season, have always been able to be that top team. Well, they always make playoffs still, but still always getting to the top of the list. New players are not. Very strong in that sense.
Certainly so, but it's an interesting point of discussion because it's been something that has been, kind of up for debate. And yes, it's dependent on meta. Yes, it's dependent on playstyle. But TSM has been pretty vocal over the seasons about wanting to be able to play all playstyles, wanting to be able to show that they can do everything, right? And when you look at their performance at Worlds, it was such a massive focus on playing slowly, on making it to late game where they felt that they could take over, that it was to the detriment of their early game.
For sure.
And while maybe you can play this really slow, really measured, low-risk game against a team that's not challenging you as hard, can you do it against the best?
How slow can you be? Anda wants to start this off right now. Abducts Mithy, brings them back with a stopwatch. Now they have to consider which target is next. MikeYeung on the front, Fate's Call goes in. They get a quick save onto support as Stunt goes back in. They're trying to decide what's going to be the first target. So many denials to these kills as Mithy gets his partner out. That's going to be Mithy going down. Hauntzer very low as well as he's already flashed, so he is down as he is stuck into the fight. Anda low and almost going down, but the passive is there for him. And somehow Fly is keeping enough high health bars in the front of the fight to keep the low ones from going down.
Yeah, they're so low on a lot of members here, but they all do survive, and a couple guys go down for TSM, so they take the turret and really back into it now is FlyQuest. And TSM playing very patiently, playing very slowly, but eventually FlyQuest finds that fight, they get the kills, and now they're onto the Inferno, so that's a big win for them.
What a call. Can't wait to see that as well, the positioning of FlyQuest, because Anda said, guys, we have this right now, and it looks like Stunt was there to be on him. Like you said, that Bastion goes on quick, and the Dazzle follows.
Yeah, and despite the fact that stopwatches are available, Mithy delays this out pretty well. There's a lot of damage coming out from the backline. If you look at Keane, he's able to get pretty involved. And this is where it kind of goes wrong for TSM as their team gets very sectioned off. It becomes difficult for them all to be involved. FlyQuest is up here as a 5-man squad. Zven is having trouble getting involved. Bjergsen is participating from over in the blue pit. But Mithy and Hauntzer were by themselves. They kind of went a different path from the rest of the team. And that miscommunication there that caused the split up really felt like that's what lost the fight.
Zven flash as well. Everybody got real hypey at the end of that fight, trying to make a last play happen. And the long fights will definitely continue to put more pressure on. It's not like the fight already happened. Things just get more hectic as it goes on. And FlyQuest feeling good to pull the trigger. A little bit in the driver's seat now, but TSM is always ready to fight back. That first divide throws him in. Hauntzer doesn't have anybody on his backside, and there's already a defensive wall of FlyQuest members that would be in between any retaliation. Beautiful job by FlyQuest, and there it is. There's that wall. Stunt and Turtle already able to take one down. Anda almost getting the grab, but they don't have another target as that Tahm Kench pickup really helping to assist save the members of TSM.
Certainly is. It's a 1-for-1 trade. I think FlyQuest perhaps underestimating the amount of damage that can come out. Hauntzer up in his face with the Feast plus Bjergsen's long-range damage onto Keane. Makes it a 1-for-1 trade despite the fact that it was kind of Hauntzer getting caught out. So nicely turned around. It is an even 1-for-1 there. And control around the Baron becoming the name of the game as FlyQuest has that Kalista, has the Azir, two of the best champions, I feel, at really knocking down the Baron quickly. And when you pair that with a Taric who has AoE healing, you can stay at full health pretty much the entire time you're doing that. So there's a low cost to attempting the Baron. Even if the other team can come in, you're still ready to turn for the fight.
So what do we see as kind of FlyQuest's next move? They feel good about taking that. Maybe don't have enough vision forward yet, but what's the look? What lane? Top or bottom?
And I think it's about controlling vision, right? It's less about which lane you're going to, and more just about being prepared for that area of attack. I think the focus has to be around topside for now, but it's more about the Baron, right? If you can eliminate vision around the Baron, TSM is forced to check in, then you can really pull off those combos with the Zac, with the Azir, catching people out, picking people off, and kind of controlling these corridors.
Back and forth. See Flame able to deliver a good bit of damage here. Mithy would be such a pickup. He is the guy that's denying the kills, but he cannot deny himself going down anymore with this stopwatch out.
And that's the vision, right? They're controlling vision in the area. Mithy trying to get up there, trying to get wards down on the Baron, but no one is with him to help him on this vision. And And now they're pushing up topside. You can see Turtle is up there, shoving up the wave. They can retreat back to Bear and threaten to try to take that or at least pressure it because, again, such a low cost to starting it up when you have a squad this strong. And they're going to do just that. Unfortunately, no pick in the pit, which is definitely an oversight. Now they see that the ward is there, and MikeYeung might have to go for a steal here. This is going down so fast, it might just be dead.
Got a double 1600 on the clock. That's actually going over to Flame to take the Baron for FlyQuest.
But
Bjergsen very close to throw in the Arcane Barrage. Zven now about to step up to the fight. MikeYeung in the eyes of Flame, but Zven has to turn to the left. Is Stunt now the one to be going down. MikeYeung has fallen, but TSM is looking for the kills, and FlyQuest are trying to keep the members with Baron alive.
Yeah, it looks like Flame is probably going to get chased down here as well. They really want to eliminate the Baron buff off this guy. He is the split pusher. Flame desperately trying to escape, but it looks like not going to happen. Trying to turn around Bjergsen.
Mithy gets the lick and makes it stick. The taste is acquired, but it is going to be the kill coming up for Bjergsen as the rest of the team files out of base for FlyQuest to prep for the rest of the members coming up. Let's see this attempt one more time.
Yeah, here it is again. It's a nice call, but the smite, I don't even think the red went off. It looked like, yeah, there was actually a knock-up. So Hauntzer actually knocked up Turtle there, denying the Ren from coming through. So some nice coordination from TSM trying to shut that down, but it still goes over to FlyQuest. Otherwise, this would have been a complete disaster for them. In the end, it's 1 kill to 3, but the Baron goes FlyQuest's way, and they keep 2 Baron buffs alive, which gives them the potential to collect more gold. So it's relatively even, you have to say, overall, and it's just going to depend on can FlyQuest get more with the Baron buff?
As well as the members you have it on aren't
exactly
the one. You got like Keane on the side lane, but you need him to fight. You got Anda jumping around, so.
I mean, had Flame gotten out, I would certainly say it was worth for them because then you have someone to buff it up in one of those side lanes. Plus you have your kind of mid lane squad with also that Baron buff. Since they did chase him down, that was a pretty big win for TSM.
Useless. Why get it? I'm just kidding. 28 minutes coming up on the clock now. Pretty even gold all around, and both teams 5 and 5, just a handful of kills to their name. 2-0-3, however, for Bjergsen, we have seen him kind of focus his safety in these fights. The last one where TSM lost, he had to be so far away.
Pretty far up
his
here.
Safety. And we see Mithy again, the beginning focus teleport coming in as Mithy's down to 25% HP. Great ult available. Hauntzer a little bit too much in the frying pan, knocked up, locked down, gets hit out for 1 shot there. And it looks like they'll be able to keep pushing through slowly. Turtle flashing forward.
MikeYeung is actually separated though. He could get picked off.
And it looks like they're gonna not come out to the backside now. Turtle safe there, 44 seconds onto MikeYeung. And now they may be able to do a little bit more full team topside or anywhere with this Baron.
Yeah, that is a great move from FlyQuest. Not only do they get the kill, they get both summoners off of Hauntzer, so no teleport available, no flash available for that Cho'Gath is going to make him much more susceptible. And FlyQuest doing a good job of fighting where they can, of finding these engages, and that's really what it's all about for them because they need to get the jump. They need to find those sorts of wins against the TSM comp like this.
Hauntzer, Zven taken down. Cloud Drake trying to get some wind conditions, if you will, on the side of TSM here. They have 2. They got to work them. Let's see a next
wind in their sails.
Wind in their sails. See if they can use it. Infernal Drake coming up now would be pretty good for either team to be grabbing. But what play so far from FlyQuest to keep on their toes and not feel set back each time TSM has turned this game around. Both teams are throwing some pretty good swings here and connecting.
Certainly are, and I mean, the point out of the Infernal I think is very important because there's already 1 to FlyQuest side, right? Yeah. If they can get that second Infernal, it's a big, big advantage. So TSM is going to want to try to fight for that to even out that advantage, and it's going to be hotly contested, which again comes to vision, comes to preparation. Who can get the advantages in these areas? Because FlyQuest has 5 men around the bot side. You do not want to get caught out now if you are on TSM.
It's like a lunchroom fight. This yelling is going to cause the teams to go in now. Both teams back-to-back chants. One louder than the other every time, and it looks like FlyQuest going to make a move here. They get the first cheer, the chant, and the rest of the team is moving into mid as they finally start to get a bit of a split they can work with.
A lot of FlyQuest fans in the house.
Absolutely.
You expect TSM to usually win those fan chants.
Say it's beginning. More and more jerseys this season you're seeing in the crowd. And TSM fans still fighting back with their chants, and the team as well as they try to stave off these second-tier turrets from going down. FlyQuest going to give them some breathing room here as they go back and get their items. Sung this set up for some safety.
Yeah, trying to get that vision set up, trying to establish some pinks, deep warding in TSM's blue side jungle. Speaks to preparation for that Infernal Dragon. They get down the scuttle. They're really trying to make sure that they have the edge. And I think that the next step to me would be Flame getting up to the top side, drawing Hauntzer up there, because he has teleport, Hauntzer does not. If you can actually force Cho'Gath to respond on the top side of the map to your teleport user, well, then it's very easy to teleport down and create a 5v4 situation, which might mean TSM just has to give up that Infernal Dragon.
Right. Power in numbers for Turtle and Stunt. They stay together at the hip here as Keane looks like he's powerful enough now to get himself a little bit pushed up, but rule of thumb, never cross the river alone, and he stops dead in his tracks. Gold evened up once again, actually at about 53, it was even 55, 57, so you can see how back and forth it is with just about 1,000 gold swings being kept in range.
Yeah, everyone's gonna have to play very carefully. I mean, these mid laners are at such a high-powered point in the game. 4 items completed for Bjergsen. He's gotten a lot of gold from his Frost Queens, and 956 gold earned just from that Frost Queens, and he has a Death Cap, he has a Void Staff, and Umbrellas on top of that. So if he has the accuracy with his skill shots, you can knock down some of these carries extremely quick. But if you cannot thread those skill shots through and hit WildTurtle, hit Keane, then it's not going to be too effective against the other members of the team.
Turtle as well running barrier for himself, heal on Stunt, so he has maybe a little bit more protection kind of that damage coming in if you get the barrier and heal. So you're not affecting that heal on its way in. Here's the second tier turret. Good defense by FlyQuest in the jungle, however, if they just need to retreat or get to the rest of their team, they're good to go. Now they've started to spread TSM a little thin as they chip away each time at that bottom and middle turret, but they got to keep rinsing and repeating, and that's what gives TSM the idea of having that same thing, being predictable.
Exactly, it certainly does. I mean, FlyQuest is moving around the map very well, though. Their map movement, their macro game has been quite impressive. Both teams fighting so heavily for vision, and it's actually FlyQuest now with so much vision around the Baron, with 15 seconds on that spawning, so looking first to that before the Infernal will be the game plan. And again, you have Kalista, they have the potential to really go for that very quickly. If you have 3 Azir soldiers plus the Kalista, it dies so ridiculously fast, and with Lethal Tempo, you're stacking the spears into the Baron even faster. If you can get that procced off of someone. So certainly the ability to really get that going. And
oh boy,
they're going to go straight to it. It is spotted out by a nice ward from TSM, but are they too slow?
I don't know. It's only down to 5,200 here. A lot of damage coming in. Burst Divide to stop them in. It would be the jump. There's the smite from Anda. They want the fight.
Anda's in with the dazzle.
Wall with the Bastion onto Anda. Will he be able to abduct the entire team? Oh, no, he just brings one back. Mithy has to get out. Bjergsen again with the range, delivering in. Thousands of damage, but it's across the team. Zven in the back line getting taken down by Anda and Flame, and they're able to do the damage to MikeYeung, to do the damage to everybody they need, and Bjergsen is forced to head home.
And look at these waves. They already have the waves going. That top wave is huge. They're going to push up mid. They're going to push up top and potentially knock down some inhibitors here. Bjergsen critically is alive and will have some strong wave clear, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for them to keep these inhibitors alive, because the super minions could be spawning pretty quickly here with the Baron buff already active. Knock these down and game starts looking pretty grim.
The range that Bjergsen now has to play against with the lead FlyQuest has. He's looking for Keane to get on him, Anda to get on him. He should be spamming Qs and Ws the entire fight, but he can only get that ult out with only a few of those damages. 2 inhibs going in, and FlyQuest turns on the afterburners.
And they have time to still get over to the Infernal. So they have the Baron recall. They reset, they buy. They're rushing this down, and they see Hauntzer coming in Keane. Nice Emperor's Divide, disengages the fight. The Ren comes through. The Taric ultimate so well timed from Stunt. I mean, TSM cannot fully engage into it. And then on in the back line, finding his man, getting on top of Zven and Mithy. They have to flash out. Flame flying in there, following up, and you can see them continually piling onto Zven, so he cannot get the space to deal the damage that he needs to do, and this is just so well done. The shot calling, the execution from FlyQuest is just at such a high level.
And there they are, as you said, back to be able to grab Infernal uncontested. They make a move to the bot side.
I mean, this could very likely be the death push here, Riv. You have the Baron buff, you have double Infernal, you have FlyQuest with 2 inhibitors down, looking to knock down the third and put TSM to a 0-2 start.
Incredible. First 2 picks, that Kog'Maw, Kench, not banned out by FlyQuest. Didn't worry about that composition of the bot side that we see many teams banning. Also, first picking Keane, their sub from the Academy team, the Azir first, who has been able to control that mid lane quite well as they start on the base of TSM.
FlyQuest needs some patience here, though. Let the super minions push in top. Let them push in mid. Do not get overzealous because TSM must respond to these waves that are stacking. Back off, let Flame push in the waves, and when they move to the side lanes to respond, then you make your move. Then you go forward and really start attacking this turret because already one man peels off for the mid. Look at the top wave stacking. If they wait for that as well, that's going to be multiple TSM members moving away.
Double lockets, Mikhail's there as well for WildTurtle's safety. Get out of a scary situation, and this may be just enough. Locket of the Iron Solari goes down from both members. So now they're out of that.
That is not what you want to see. I mean, they're getting too antsy. They're moving forward.
Yep.
Now the super minions are in the base. They literally just had to wait one more wave, and that's a free inhibitor and likely the game ending. But instead, they get too antsy. They move forward, and Bjergsen nails all of his ultimate hits there, taking down Turtle through everything.
We know TSM to be that 30, 35, 40-minute team. They get the fight they want.
Flame's going for the base. He's looking for the back door.
Flame is getting into the base. I should say front doors. The minions take down Nexus turret number 1. Stunt is running for his life.
The game.
Suede shoes on as he tries to dip dodge back and forth. But the minions are not heavy enough along with his damage. And too many members are backed already from TSM, quickly seeing him enter the base. However, that was a huge play for FlyQuest to get that pressure on one Nexus turret.
Yeah, they couldn't stop the backs. If Stunt could have gotten in there or Onda was still around, someone could have stopped the back from Zven. That could have actually been the game there, but certainly a mishandled push there from FlyQuest. I think that should have been the game in a situation like this with the advantages that they have. I feel that the only way for the other team to actually get back in it is you making a mistake. And they really did give that to their opponents. You have 2 waves of super minions. You have the Baron buff. You have a double Infernal advantage. You have a gold lead. There's no real excuse for being so impatient on that push, right? Every bit of work that you've done at that point is about getting the super minions into the base. And if you do not allow them to draw the pressure first, then you don't really have the advantage.
But it's so easy to just want to go as them.
Yep.
It's so easy.
Here it is. I mean, Turtle steps forward, gets hit by a Q that does most of his HP. And look at this. Bjergsen hits 5 for 5 with the Xerath ultimate. The rank 3 Xerath ultimate hits all 5 shots plus his Q, pinpoint accuracy. And Turtle, not able to dodge any, moving up too far forward. Certainly going to want that pushback.
See Onda on your screen, clearing out, having a great game for himself on the Zac. 0-0 and 10.
He's looking incredible.
Create a lot of productivity in the early game.
Certainly so, and despite the fact that they did mess up, they still have 2 inhibs now. There's 1 Nexus turret remaining. They can still make this push happen. Flame is corralling the minions, but they need patience again. And it feels like they're a little bit antsy here. They're trying to push up. The minions aren't in place yet, and you really feel like FlyQuest is getting a bit nervous. It's like, we're really going to do it. We're really going to do it. You need to stay patient. You need to stick to the game plan and your win conditions to really close these sorts of games out, because with the scaling that's on the side of TSM, you don't get too many mistakes.
And now they're actually pushed out on both. More breathing room for TSM and an unfortunately mismatched waves for FlyQuest. Do not allow them any further into the base. It's hard to believe the game still continues as such. You have 1 Nexus turret down, the entire left side of the base is crushed, but you still can't get in. It's still too strong for TSM with that 1 turret up the way they've been playing.
And I mean, with the inhibs up, right? That's a lot of the advantage now gone for FlyQuest. The big advantage for them is still, if you win a fight, the game ends, because there's only 1 Nexus turret, the inhibitors are open. That is the edge that they still have, and the double Infernals is still on their side. But if TSM can keep winning fights, if they can keep defending, this game can certainly still be theirs.
We see that they have this in their back pocket. When everything looks terrible, you just wait it out, and usually come out with that fight. We scaling. I still need 2 more items. Actually looking at who does need items. Bjergsen's full up. Boots and all with that Spellthief.
Zven as well. Both the carries their 6 items, right? This is monstrously scary set of carries here. I mean, now for TSM, it's going to be so hard for someone like Turtle to get in on the Kalista when you have 2 long-range carries pumping out insane amounts of damage. Like you saw, the Q did about 80% of his health.
Oh, this is not looking good for Onda. Obviously has to use the ultimate to get out. getting himself to safety as TSM starts feeling pretty good about a few of these engages, or at least pushing themselves forward to jockey for position.
I think it's a good call there from Onda. Yes, you don't want to have to expend the ultimate like that, but it's highly preferential to a flash, and since it's uninterruptible, once you're casting it, you know you're going to be able to get out, and I think it's just a better safe than sorry type of situation.
See, Mithy's got some interesting buys in his convergence, maybe drop portal coming in, something for himself here to get working in the side lanes going.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of buff items for his AD carry, right? You have the Knight's Vow, you have the Zeke's Convergence. My kind of issue with Zeke's Convergence on Tahm Kench is you have to use your ultimate rocket, so it's kind of weird. Like, are you going to just ult in place at the start of the fight to give it to him? You know,
it is an interesting buy. Gives him that cooldown though. He can chomp up his AD carry more possibly with that, as well as get the protection of the magic resistance, which he does need quite a bit of right now.
Certainly doing. Look at this. Flame is actually getting to the top side. TSM is going to have to react to this. They either have to engage now or send someone up to respond, because FlyQuest is trying to pull them apart, trying to threaten the top side while also threatening the Baron. Mithy going back now, but there's also the potential of the Elder Dragon. So what do the teams go for? It looks like TSM wants to try to go for this, but FlyQuest is straight onto the Baron, so it's likely going to be a trade of the objectives. And if FlyQuest have the patience to avoid fighting during the Elder Dragon buff,
right?
The Baron buff lasts longer. And these are slow bases for TSM. They could actually lose an inhibitor before they get back to their base if FlyQuest is quick enough. They're running straight forward. We'll see if they want to commit, because again, TSM has a strong window of power, but Hauntzer for some reason didn't base. He actually must have canceled his base or something. He's just coming back now. I guess he was finishing the Dragon actually.
Finishing Dragon. Yeah. Looks like they have a ping down towards the bot side. They know they need to respect that on the side of FlyQuest. Also, home-guarded members coming out is something they have to take consideration on. They also don't know where TSM's wards are for a Hauntzer flank, so they're back.
And it was the Xerath portal, as you pointed out, so that knowing that swooshing is kind of an issue, they're going to have that from Mithy to kind of combat those minions a little bit more, keep the waves more heavily in their favor. Because they're liking their chances much more in a straight-up 5v5 than they are in this kind of pull-you-apart type game, especially when you don't have a lot of turrets left on the map to really assist in those types of games. So we'll see, how does FlyQuest play it out? They kind of drop the ball on their first chance, and the 2 Xeraths actually, wow, so Hauntzer going to pick up one as well. But
I was waiting.
Once the Elder expires, there is a window. If they can have the minions in place, that they can get still something from this Baron buff and maybe come out ahead with that.
On the back into the mix. Throws himself in. Knight's Vow from Onda actually just purchased. And they put that onto Keane as well. So that's where he was going to do before he went and got some more wards out. So they're just trying to give as much as possible to these carries right now and then be their meat shields when the time comes.
Yeah, that's the name of the game at this point, right? You see Stunt. Likely that Kindle Gem will be built into a Knight's Vow for WildTurtle. These are fully stacked up carries for the most part. Turtle still needs his one last item, but these guys are very, very strong, and it comes down so much to execution in these fights, and that's really what it's all about. At the highest level, you need to have the gameplay, you need to have the picks, but you also need the execution when it counts.
Execution is huge. If you just think of 4 actives once that Knight's Vow is finished, 4 Stunt, plus his abilities to fire off, and that means you have to dip past 4 and go to 5 because it's your trinket. Like, that is some finger work.
If your ultimate is poorly timed, you probably just lose the game, right? So everything has to be done perfectly. You certainly have to execute at a very high level, and a guy like Stunt, who is very, very good in solo queue, you expect him to have very high level mechanics and be able to do that very well, to navigate that very well. But we have the Baron buff up there. You will see the Elder expiring very shortly. This is really the last wave of Elder that TSM has, so that's why FlyQuest is already in position to try to pressure this as heavily as they can. They're moving into the base. Elder Dragon buff is now gone. This is their opportunity, and they've set it up pretty well.
Siege minion thrashing the inhibitor down. The slow hits from Flame. Onda just trying to add a little bit of pressure, but he might have added too much with his life. Passive is going to be there. Uses the ultimate, goes down with one more shot. Ignite is on. He gets himself to safety, and the shields are there as well.
Got him.
Hits from Bjergsen come in. Passive is out, but can he reform before the...
He's looking to turn this around.
Hauntzer damage. Turtle with good shots from the top side of the fight. He has great protection from the rest of the team. MikeYeung is looking, however, for a way into the back line.
And MikeYeung is trying to harass them, trying to stop them from basing, because they had a big mini wave on the top side, but with those Baron bases, they are going to be able to get out of here and collect those minion waves. They did get an inhibitor down. That was the advantage from their Baron buff. FlyQuest playing that out intelligently. Right as the Elder Dragon buff goes down, they pounce. They get something from it. Yes, they lose a kill, but still they will be relatively happy with the exchange as long as they can defend.
TSM They're like, what is this area? This side of the map is so fresh and clean. We haven't been over here yet.
But that's the thing, though. 45 minutes into the game, it can be the first time you get there.
Yeah.
You win a fight, the game ends, right? We're getting to those very long death timers.
I guess I was an expert at these games. The one-and-done team fight games.
Yep. Sometimes that's all that matters. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're winning the whole game. If you lose that final fight.
Yeah.
Some item swap-ups here for Zven. Freak would be proud seeing the Essence Reaver coming through on Kog'Maw.
Hey.
Plus, the Lucidity Boots means that's going to be 40% CDR for Zven. He's going to have...
Had the Swifties.
Exactly. He's going to have an incredible amount of uptime for his W. That puts it at a 10-second cooldown, and it lasts for 8 seconds. So the uptime gets extremely, extremely high with that.
Everybody's ready to do the damages. It's who's going to be in a better position to do it. I don't even think we can... we have MikeYeung with 1 spot. Mithy has a few ward spots, and it's full up on the side of FlyQuest right now.
Yeah.
So they're continuously pushing forward with what they have a few to place on WildTurtle.
Yeah, Turtle got his Bloodthirster now, so he's full build, as you say. And it's interesting to kind of see when supports choose to go to that 6th item. Some supports will never go to a 6th item because they say, hey, the pink wards are actually worth more than what I will get from that last item.
A lot of the times you fight over a ward in late game.
Exactly. It's about the vision control. And great, I have a Knight's Vow, but they got the jump on us, so we lost the fight, right?
Yep.
And it's kind of the give and take, which is worth more and when is it worth more. And usually people will not swap it out until it's a full completed item and not just a component. So we'll see when and if Mithy decides to do that. But fighting over this red buff feels pretty risky when Onda has no flash and his passive still should be down. But Flame applying pressure on the bot side. This is the game plan. Super Minions will push in the mid. 4-man top. Flame on the bot side looking to knock down this low HP turret. FlyQuest needs to play this out well.
See what the idea of TSM is. If Hauntzer stays, you can already tell he wants into the fight already. That's a 4v5 that they will have. No, they send Bjergsen to the bot. Home guard, quick clear. Very smart choice, as that would be the faster one. And Bjergsen has the range to participate from the middle of the base. They stall out Flame and Fly's quick push there. Now they have a chance to defend.
Certainly do. But Flame pushing in here. Bjergsen is actually the one answering him, which makes it a little bit tougher. Yes, he can respond with the ultimate and things from long range, but when a high-powered carry is the one down there responding, it does open up more opportunities to perhaps go for an initiation on Kog'Maw, but Bjergsen clears out the wave quickly, is back to the top side, and he can kill those waves so fast because it's not a Baron buff that he's dealing with. You know, it's just these regular minions that he can essentially 1 or 2 hit a wave.
You can expect, looking at the members on screen from both teams as well, Iron Elixirs, Sorcery Elixirs, Potions of Wrath as well are already being used, because you need to put your money into something at this point.
Exactly. It's the late game. You either buy a bunch of pots or you swap around all your items. You try to optimize. Yeah. This is one of those kind of interesting points where it's something that you don't normally have to deal with. You have to think about, hey, okay, well, I have 6 items, but is this the best possible 6 items? How much do you need in survivability? How much do you need in damage? You know, if you're Turtle, you say, nope, I'm going to dodge everything. I need an IE. Or do you say, hey, I actually need to survive here? And Onda getting caught out. He's going to have to use the ult to jump away again.
Deja vu. Same spot.
Baron is up, though. And again, the dance starts. If you can get that Baron, you can maybe knock down that bottom turret. And this is something that FlyQuest has had to look at. You know, not 1 Baron ago, but 2 Barons ago, they were very close to ending the game. They're rushing this down again, but Flame is not quite there. Will it go down in time?
Got that Zeke's convergence on Zven. There's the Abyssal Voyage coming in.
Oh, MikeYeung Flame for the backside.
Down about 20% HP. Flame says, walk this way. Yeah, I am trouble, and I will give that to you. Flashes out, calls a bit of the abilities over. A big fight here between the junglers in a 1v1 scuffle. Keane's going to get over. Void Ooze misses Stunt. They're not able to catch up to the fight, and they lose. MikeYeung. Baron's already down, but this is a big push here for FlyQuest.
That could be the game-ending pick. 60+ seconds on the death timer here for MikeYeung. Baron buff up. They will be pushing in. The waves are at top. They're in the mid lane. They're looking to at least get all the inhibs here, if not get a game-winning fight. And they are poised to knock down TSM.
Pushing down to the mid lane. The top's only going to take a few shots. I should say the bottom is only going to take a few shots with that inhibitor turret being up.
Onda threatening.
Yeah, absolutely threatening. Goes to take that, gets ruptured up into the air, but Turtle and Keane on the left side playing safe.
Oh my God!
They kick him back, but they also get Mithy. They're gonna have to leave the base if they even want to stay alive, and that's not gonna get him the game. Mithy's gonna go down. FlyQuest looking to take the win, as Hauntzer is the last thing in their eyes, as Bjergsen takes up A Bjergsen on the fountain. Hauntzer goes down, but it's ever so slow. You can see Zven head in hands. TSM has never started a season 0-2. And FlyQuest look to put the finishing touches now on the Nexus. Bjergsen confined to the fountain, 14-9, and just over 50 minutes. FlyQuest take victory over TSM.
What a performance from FlyQuest, and how about that Gnar ultimate into the wallop from Flame in that final fight? He pulls in Zven, he predicts the flash with his wallop, stunning him on his flash, and then Keane right there. Even though Zven gets eaten up by Mithy, the shuffle comes in, pushes him to a point where he can no longer escape, and that was just an incredible combo from the FlyQuest solo laners to close this one out, and they have got to be ecstatic.
It's absolutely ridiculous, because at that point of a game, you kind of think almost everything has been exhausted. TSM knows what to expect. You've seen the combos. You know, you have a Twitch and you have a Shen. Oh, we know the submarine's coming in now. But that was actually the first time they were able to formulate that against the team, and TSM did not know how to respond in that split decision.
Exactly, and I mean, so much credit to FlyQuest for their play around the Baron. I think that was really where they gained their edges this game.
Absolutely.
Utilizing the Kalista, utilizing that Azir and the Taric to keep them healthy and knock down the Baron buff fast, and Stunt is pumped up as he should be.
Stunt's super pumped.
I mean, they were bold, they were committed to these calls, and they worked out, right? And I think also there's a lot to be said for the fact that they failed their execution on their earlier Baron buff, where they probably should have ended the game.
That's a great point.
And still stayed mentally strong, did not tilt, did not get too concerned about the fact that, hey, we should have ended the game there. And it wasn't the next Baron buff that ended the game, it was the Baron buff after that. So staying patient, staying even with TSM in this super late game where TSM has all their items, has all their options, and still was found wanting against FlyQuest.
And it's interesting to think, are these teams right now, I don't want to take anything away from the teams, but are they right now kind of preying on uncoordination, or are we seeing teams in the early part of the season kind of have those definitive knowledge of their advantage, use that advantage, and then be able to pull back when they need to, but still go forward? As we said, they messed up that first Baron, but still came back and were able to put it on the next.
And I mean, I think it's a tough question, right? There is some things where teams are changing around, some teams have to come together, but so does FlyQuest, right? So do a lot of these players.
Very
and
true.
I think what we're seeing is that there is a lot of parity right now in the NALCS. Some of these teams that you're saying, oh, Optic could be at the bottom of the league. Well, look how competitive they were today with Liquid. FlyQuest, well, they might be a bottom team.
Yeah.
They just beat TSM, right? These are two of the teams that most people are predicting to be at the top, and I think these teams have a lot to be proud of.
Great few games to start off day two. We have a lot more to come, but right now we're going to send it down to Avali May and the FlyQuest bot laner.
Thanks, guys. I am here with WildTurtle. You deserve the applause. Now, going into this week, when everyone was releasing their tier lists, TSM was at the top, FlyQuest somewhere around the bottom or middle. What does taking down TSM today mean to you?
I mean, it feels great. We went into this match, like, I think we went in pretty confident, like, regardless of what happened yesterday. Like, obviously, we pretty much got stomped. And I think today we decided to take a step back and look at what we did wrong yesterday, and I think we were able to fix it overnight. So I'm really happy that my team came through.
What do you think was the defining moment, or kind of like the turning point mentally for you guys for today?
I think our preparation was definitely a lot better today than yesterday. We put in a lot more time and work, and we thought about pick ban a lot more than we did the previous day. So I think that really helped us get the win today.
Now, you are the only remaining member from last year's FlyQuest. What can you tell me about this new team?
This new team is pretty quiet, but they're all very nice people. Like Andy, our jungler, and Stunt, they're all very quiet people. So you have to like always try to activate them and talk to them and get them to talk more with you, right? So it's definitely a pretty big change from my last team, which was all English speakers, and they were pretty active as well. So.
Now, what can you tell me about today's bot lane matchup with you and Stunt? You guys were going against a pretty hyped up bot lane.
I think we played pretty poorly in the laning phase. I think we could have definitely played it a lot better than we did. But it is the beginning, and I do have more hopes for me and William, or Stunt.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for this interview, and we're going to toss it back to the desk.
Thank you very much, Avli. A huge, huge victory for WildTurtle and the rest of FlyQuest as they push TSM to their first 0-2 week 1 in the history of the North American LCS. That in and of itself is huge and something to be celebrated for a roster coming in here in week 1.
And you have to shout out the fact that they're not even with their intended mid lane starter yet. Fly was not starting this week. They have Keane from their academy team, so that means they're playing really well. Great performance by them.
Well, you touched on the mid lane. That's where we wanted to put a spotlight focus for this game. I'm going to set some expectations here. Following yesterday's loss for TSM, Bjergsen was the focus of a lot of community criticism. And that's kind of where we decided we wanted to take a microscope to game 2 here of the week and really look at Bjergsen's play. But before we do that, I want to set the legacy, the expectation of the player in which we are about to analyze. 5-time NALCS champion, 4-time MVP, 4 Worlds appearances, once going to quarterfinals, and 2 MSI appearances. This guy has a legacy unmatched by anyone else.
And I think that last little point you snuck in there about 1 quarterfinals appearance is why people have started criticizing him so much. They're sick of these disappointing international performances. All the domestic domination you can put together after a little while starts getting a little tiring, and especially with him not dominating as hard as he used to in the past, people are starting to get more and more critical.
And I think the criticism after the TL game is there. I can imagine what's going to happen after this FlyQuest game where he looked a lot like a non-factor, and that was kind of the purpose of what we wanted to do here, because people were expecting this dominant NA mid laner, and he hasn't been that yet. So in this particular game, they let Azir through. 4 out of other 6 teams had banned that, so they could play the Xerath. So in some ways it's a counter, but you're choosing to play against Xerath. And we want to set expectations for what the Xerath should do, and now we're going to compare it against Bjergsen's performance in this game.
Matchup chosen by TSM. What do we expect to see out of the Xerath in the laning phase?
Well, generally speaking, even though it's considered a counter matchup, it doesn't come online a little bit later into the game. And the Zac was also picked after the Xerath, which influences how aggressive you want to play this Xerath pick. Now, he got ganked early on, lost his flash, but a really nice play onto Keane stopped him from being at a summoner disadvantage. They trade flashes evenly, which sets Bjergsen up to farm up until he starts becoming that annoying counter pick.
Yeah, and he also opted to go for a Frost Queen, so he got a very good early recall off, but was playing passively pretty much the whole time. And as soon as he gets Lost Chapter, he has the mana spam to get a little bit of deep vision and start invading. And keep in mind, his bottom lane was winning here. So if he's doing the safe play, that would be what you want to do, and he's able to go down and get first blood with the control him and MikeYeung had gotten after his Lost Chapter.
So I think what we're saying here is there's nothing you can outright say was wrong. But with the amount of draft resources you put on them, he didn't actually play that far forward. Even after he got online with his mana regen and leveled up Q to start harassing Keane under turret, he rarely started doing that. And then when we move into the team fight phase, it wasn't too much better.
Yeah, and this is where the passiveness comes in. You look at his skill shots, he's hitting them, but instead of stepping back to ult with no mana, he can auto someone over the wall to get a large amount of mana back, and now he'd have spells at this point in the game to pick off the low members, Onda and WildTurtle. So that little bit of killer instinct
late flash
from Bjergsen. And he flashes over later to get the auto attack. And then after they lose a fight, you would still see mechanically, he's doing a lot of pretty strong things with that Xerath to be able to pick up kills.
Yeah, absolutely shows a mastery of the champion, but the in-game decision-making felt like it was lacking a little bit there. He relied on his bot lane to get the advantage for his team, and then when they move into the team fight phase and FlyQuest starts playing really well, it's really hard for them to continue snowballing through that advantage.
I mean, I'd pay money to have skill shot accuracy like that, you know, for myself in-game, but that's, again, where we kind of return to this question of, okay, you can have mechanical prowess, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to have great effect on the outcome of the game.
Yeah, and this is another one of those fights. Keane ended up out-damaging Bjergsen by 2,000 damage in this one. He had to flash away from Onda. What we haven't touched on much is that Zac is a difficult pick for Xerath to play against. But again, very early going into the ultimate to try and pick up a kill, he mispredicts a few of the Kalista sidesteps, and eventually by the time he's moving in for his closer range skill shots, the fight's over again.
The important thing to point out there is that he had some cooldowns up, so he could have stayed in that fight, throwing those out, holding Qs, and then maybe waiting towards the end of the fight to start shooting those out as well.
But again, 5 ultimates in a row with skill shot accuracy, so it's some things are very strong about this, but other things are not, because he's only making the safe play rather than the aggressive play.
I think what speaks to me there, though, is that so many of those instances where we're seeing mechanical prowess, they're solo kills. They're instances in which he's just barely keeping TSM alive in the game, not necessarily creating an opening for a victory.
And I think that's ultimately what this comes back to, is in that early game, did he have Keane pushed under his turret? Was he harassing him out?
Right.
Was MikeYeung and him comboing together to try and take that turret down early? No, I mean, that turret dropped 25 minutes into the game off the back of a team fight that they won.
Right, because we want to contrast not only the expectations of Bjergsen as a player, but also what is he supposed to be doing with the champion.
Right, you got to be fair to the matchup.
Yeah, and he played Xerath pretty well. But what you expect from Bjergsen, especially against Keane, who is an LCS mid laner who's experienced, but not the intended starter, just is not up to par in this game. He could have played more aggressively in lane. Instead of shoving out, he could have used those spells to poke. He didn't. He was doing the safe thing again and again, and that can be right. I need to be clear, that can be the right play. They were winning after he played that way in the early game.
So I want to wrap this up, though, with a little bit of a discussion then around, like, okay, where did we just land on Bjergsen? At the beginning of the day, you said he definitely does deserve some of the blame for the losses, as does every other member on TSM, but is it, okay, Bjergsen needs to shake off this passivity, and if he just starts playing like he is the best mid laner in the league, he will rise back to that level?
I think that's kind of where we want him to start going more. I mean, he does have a bot lane that was winning, and it's fine to play safer, make sure you don't die to the Zac, and then let your bot lane carry you, but when things start going off the rails, you now don't have the second point of pressure on the map that could have been winning this entire time. So they could have snowballed much more aggressively if he wanted to play that way.
Yeah, he is not playing as well as he has played in the past. That is for sure.
All right, fair enough. An in-depth look at Bjergsen and the O2 TSM here in Week 1. Coming up next, we've got 100 Thieves facing Counterlogic Gaming. Before we go to break, here's the teaser for the newest champion to receive a rework, Swain, the Noxian Grand General.
I have the vision to see what others cannot. The monsters of today will be the heroes of tomorrow. And by my hand will Noxus rise once more.